Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
Well, I can't believe it, people, but for the second weekend in a row, we are starting this show talking about yet another murder in Minneapolis committed by an immigrations and customs enforcement officer or officers. The person had a license to carry a concealed weapon. They were subdued on their face. The gun had been taken, and only then was he shot in the back by spineless fucking cowards.
Oh, he was shot in the back.
And 11 times.
Another 10 times after that.
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
Oh, okay.
So where do we even start? It's just this. Where do you even start? There's some facts to talk about. We have that stabilized, slowed down video. If you all want to see it, I'm sure you've all seen it enough, but we do have it. It's not a, we don't feel the need to show it. I mean, it's been done. But it's the fact that we don't want to talk about government agents murdering their own citizens. We would like to have a bit more fun and enjoyment on this show, but we don't get to.
Well, we can talk about government agents murdering their own citizens, just we expect it to be other countries, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yes, we will, because there is more of that. And surprisingly, it's not people in Russia falling out of windows, but, right? So let me, Dunk, you want to weigh in here before we, bring up some
I don't know. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to raise a drink.
There you go.
To Chris.
There you go. Another life taken way too soon. And this.
Yeah.
I mean, first, the what's her name? Miss Good. I'm not mad at you. Last thing she said. This guy, a VA Veterans Hospital nurse.
X-ray veteran as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I'm sorry, I thought I was prepared for this, but I'm not.
Yeah. We got DHS saying that they alone will handle the investigation, even though they came out outright in the beginning and stated that in no uncertain terms were the officers, agents, whatever you call those pieces of garbage, defending themselves and so on. The same rhetoric we heard with Miss Good.
Yeah. No, it's going to be one of those investigations that we've seen them do so many times where, oh yeah, we're completely blameless. Our people are wonderful. And this man was obviously, a child killer and used to eat dead babies and snort cocaine off of the bellies of hippos or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And meanwhile, I mean, did you hear that bovine sex club leader Bovino, when he did his thing, when it first all happened, he donned his Gestapo jacket and he said it was somebody that obviously had murderous intent. If you watch the video, if that's what murderous intent is, I think the country should be emptied. Just that's it. Because all he did was defend somebody.
No, as I said last time we were talking about this is deliberate. They're trying to provoke an incident.
Yes.
Now, what I think is interesting is Walls has called up the Minnesota National Guard.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what they did today? They brought hot coffee and donuts to the protesters.
Yes. Yes. See, now, I speaking of protesters, I have a message to everybody in Minnesota, Maine, because it's happening there now too. Everybody in America.
Yeah.
This is basically the way it has to go. I know I'm a Canadian. Who the fuck am I to tell you what to do? I get it. But this taunting them and going, you specifically are a piece of shit and you should know better and stuff. Stop. These people have been recruited from the far right depths of Megaland online and stuff. They're
society.
Yeah, these people want to do what they're doing. You doing that to them, you're antagonizing somebody who wants to pull out their gun. Don't. Just stand there and chant, ICE go home and stuff. Don't point and wave. Don't do any of that stuff. Just stand there like a peaceful rock and chant together.
Yeah.
This is what has to happen now because they want you.
The situation, sadly, is not going to change until the corporate overlords tell him that it's hurting business.
Exactly. Which
that's the only pressure he's going to respond to.
Yeah. Which I think is why people started doing that general strike talk, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, just jump in a second here.
Yeah.
I've got to apologize. It was Alex Pretty, not Chris. I don't know where I got this from. There's me raising a drink to the wrong person.
We knew. Everybody in their hearts had the right man in their mind.
Yeah, Chris would probably be next.
Well, I'm sure. Sadly, I don't think I could say anything less than I am 100% convinced there will be a next.
Yeah.
They're looking to do this. These are people that have murder in their hearts. So spread the word. Spread the word. Peaceful rock. You got to stand together, unified, do the chant, ICE go home and stuff, bring your signs, but no aggression.
I mean, the simple fact of the matter is they had no reason to approach the guy at all.
Well, the woman that got shoved, she should never have been shoved to the ground. They're supposed to be immigration officers. There's some people protesting in the streets. You got no right to assault these people. No right whatsoever. Yeah.
Well, according to Kristi Noem, they have every right to.
Well, she can suck my fucking dick.
She should be taken to a gravel pit and shot to death by Dog the Bounty Hunter, for the irony of the fucking situation.
Sorry. I'm just going to say, no, she does not get the right to suck my dick. I wouldn't put my dick anywhere near that fucking trout.
The amount of antibiotics you'd need to get yourself healthy again.
I'd probably get rabies.
No, you'd have to just cut that thing off and apply for a donor. There's nothing you could do.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm a bit angry.
No worries. You have every right to be. We should not be seeing this on our televisions, on our phone screens and stuff. We should not have to talk about a government who kills innocent citizens of its own. A government is by and of and for the people. And there's just I'm gonna fucking explode.
Yeah.
The thing I think is promising is that we've seen his own party, a lot of people in his own party are starting to push back. And as you recall, when I usually wrap up our Ukraine update sessions on Saturdays, I say, correspond with your elected officials. Do that now about this.
Yes.
Tell them you want ICE pulled.
Yeah.
Don't say defund ICE, because that will just aggravate everybody on that side. What you want to say is disarm ICE.
Yeah.
These guys, there's no reason they can't perform their duties without carrying weapons.
That's right.
Get local police if you need some strong arm tactics, but these guys should not be carrying weapons. They're not trained for it. And if anything, they're encouraged to do the wrong thing. If you get local police, those people are more answerable to your local community, your local politicians.
Well, they shouldn't even be, handling pepper spray and pepper guns and tear gas. That's not for an ICE agent.
I don't get. Yeah. How can you have a situation where an ICE agent is pepper spraying somebody directly to the face for defending a woman who was shoved to the ground? Like, what is the ICE agent? How can any of that be in their job?
Why are you showing empathy to an enemy of the state, obviously in the pay of, the drug lords?
Yeah.
I mean, how long is it going to...
Should I expect to come out of our good friends in D.C. now?
Yeah.
I mean, how long is it going to be before they just don't bother with the pepper spray and just go straight for the gun?
Well, actually, we saw this.
Not too long.
Wait, I think we're right there, Commander Dunk, because in some of the footage I've seen over the last 36 hours of what's going down in Minneapolis, Twin Cities, I have seen more than one ICE agent pull their gun and then holster it back. Just because they're panicking in the situation, because they were so ill-trained for this. These are tough guy mofo jocks from high school whose lives are shit now because they can't be a tough guy and succeed, and are finally being given money and a weapon to go and unleash that hate.
Yeah, well, Meal Team 6.
Yeah, like I heard quoted today, is like, well, the problem with the concentration camps in Germany was not the fact that the guards weren't trained properly.
What?
Meaning it doesn't make any difference whether or not how well they're trained. They shouldn't even be there.
Yeah.
It shouldn't exist.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But I just don't understand any of this, how any American could sit there and watch this and then watch the football game when they sing "The Land of the Free" and "The Home of the Brave."
Yeah. The other thing as well, you got all these thugs coming in. We all know about it. They're all masked. They've got no identification on them. I mean, how do we even know they're actually employed by ICE agents? The ICE agency
uniform, many of them.
You could quite literally just have one of your thug mates, go along with you, and no one would know.
Yep. I think there's reports that some people have thought that this has happened with people coming to their houses and stuff. And speaking of which, that memo from Christy Nome there, Barbie DHS, saying that they now have blanket authority to simply enter homes. They don't need warrants.
Any home.
How can this be a democracy, a free society?
Well, how can that even be passed? You can't just make a statement like that without, laws being in place.
Yeah. As Chris points out, the administration had a pre-cooked narrative ready to go. This was an action which was planned all along. They may not have been given specific orders, shoot somebody, but they were told, you guys have carte blanche to do what you think is necessary to perform your duties.
Yeah.
And if they think that includes shooting people, oh well. You're protected. You have absolute immunity.
Which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, point I said next, that's not too far off, because one of the things that has been said is that if Minnesota complies with the demands from the White House, then they will withdraw ICE. The demand is to surrender Minnesota's voter rolls.
Yeah. So now think about this, people.
So now we can simply go down the list, because Minnesota is one of those states that requires you to decide whether you're, Democrat or Republican. They can go down the list, and anybody who's listed as a Democrat, you're now subject to having ICE or some other federal agency kick in your door, arrest you, and shoot you for no reason.
Yeah, and think about this, people. Pam Bondi has now admitted that part of, if not a decent chunk, of the ICE occupation of the Twin Cities, Portland there and, whatnot, is simply to get data on people so they can know their enemies.
Yeah. Yeah, this is no different than Nixon with his enemies list, except these guys are willing to take the next step, which I don't think Nixon was at that point.
I don't think, no matter how crooked you were in Nixon's day, that you would even consider going to Russian Gestapo Nazi levels. Exactly. Yeah. Nobody would have, Commander. Not a chance, Lance. No way.
I mean, we are literally leading up to the Night of the Long Knives.
Yeah.
Well, remember that Night of the Long Knives is an internal purge by the Nazi Party against itself.
True.
So you're thinking of Kristallnacht, which is a different matter.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Actually, okay. Yeah. I don't know this history well, but I know those
said
names.
Something to a historian, and he has to intervene.
Yeah, but that's why it's really cool.
Now, I do anticipate there will be a Night of the Long Knives, and that's when he feels secure enough that he wants to get rid of all the old elephant Republicans and replace them with MAGAs. And so you simply round them all up and disappear them. And I don't think that's that far from happening either.
Yeah.
Well, those guys better start, trying to push for the 25th Amendment straight away. Then,
well, they can't.
Well, or impeachment at least. Yeah. That's the thing about the 25th. You have to get JD.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. The issue with the 25th is it requires the cabinet to do that.
Yeah.
And he specifically selected the people in his cabinet because they're incompetent nobodies.
Yeah.
The moment he's out of office, whoever replaces him, all of them have lost their jobs and they will never be allowed within 1,000 miles of positions of power again.
Yeah. Like what's his name when Chucker Farlson was first brought in?
Yeah.
He stood up on the stage at one of those things and he was like, "Can you believe that I'm standing here and blah, blah, amazing." And it was instantly embarrassing because he had no business being there.
Yeah. And that's my point, is that when you select people who know they're going to get kicked out, they will never, ever vote to invoke the 25th and flush you.
That's right.
So the only way it's going to be done is if we get enough people in Congress to impeach him.
Trump could deport Vance's wife, and I don't think he'd fucking say anything about it.
Yeah.
Pardon my language, but it's a pretty strong emotional evening here, and it's just going to be that way,
It's hard to avoid it.
I can't sit back and watch the fall of democracy. Yes, I'm in Canada. I got to qualify that all the time. But to be honest, usually America leads, Canada follows, and, we get along during it and stuff. And I'm just watching it all disappear, and I've got a child turning 19 years old. What the hell is he going into? You know?
Well, and the sad reality is, I know a lot of people think, oh, great, well, we'll vote him out, or his MAGA people out in 26, and then in 28, he'll be gone and everything will go back to normal. No, the damage is so severe from what he's done. It's going to take not just a generation, probably 2 or 3, to get us back to where we were before this orange God King got into power.
Yeah, about six months ago, we had this kind of like conversation about restoring the United States to where it was, and I quite flippantly said, it could be done quite easily. You just got to do the same kind of tactics that Trump did, and you could reverse it all very quick. No, things have moved on so far now. Yeah. It's a completely different story.
Any credibility the U.S. had as being an ally is gone.
And stable, dependable, and you know what I mean? Yeah.
Especially when people are even talking about, not using the dollar as their, currency of, yeah. Anyway, there was an interesting thing that Beowulf said in the chat. He said that America is not reacting strongly enough at the minute. I know we're seeing all the demonstrations and all that kind of stuff, but is that enough?
We finally
quite frankly, I'm not sure it is.
I will say we finally saw an ounce of spine out of some of the Democrats today, because some have announced that they will not do anything remotely close to funding anything until ICE is removed from everything to do with funding. So if this catches any steam, we could be in a situation coming up with an American government shutdown. And
I think it's tomorrow. There's supposed to be a vote to pass the budget continuing resolution and everything.
Yeah.
And the Dems need to just say nope.
Yeah,
and
you
if we have to shut the government down indefinitely, that's what we do, because you can't give in, because if you keep giving these idiots money, they're just going to get worse and worse and worse.
Exactly. Yeah. It's that whole thing, give an inch, take a blah, blah, take a mile and everything. And it's so out of control right now.
ICE is the SA.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of calls for just completely wiping ICE off the map and starting a new agency. I can see a benefit to that, but there's going to be a lot of holdovers. So you're really just renaming the office and continuing on with a new set of, and stuff. So
the thing I am convinced, because I hate to say it, but ICE does perform, at least when it's not under control of these megalomaniacs.
Yeah, up
it
until
performs an essential function. But as I mentioned to you earlier, I don't think ICE needs to be armed.
No.
If they are going into a situation where they're afraid that, they'll be resisted by somebody with weapons, then you call the local police to support you. But ICE should be more of an administrative organization that says, hey, come with me. We're being detained.
Yeah.
Instead of, kicking in the doors, beating everybody up, whisking you out and leaving your children unattended.
Yeah. What does ICE, by its definition, have to do with tear gassing American citizens? The hell? Jesus Christ. I could see if the protesters was seriously violent and it was all kinds of crazy, National Guard coming in and tear gassing to disperse everybody because they got mad at ICE, but letting ICE do it themselves? I just
yeah.
It's all it's as wrong could ever be. It ain't the way it's supposed to work, man. Not at all.
Yeah.
Let me tell a quick story here.
Sure.
I want to tell a story of about a Minneapolis pediatrician described watching a man, later identified as Alex Pretty, Pretty. How do I say that name correctly?
Pretty.
Yeah. And criticized the federal officers at the scene for not checking the man's pulse or beginning to perform CPR. This is according to a new filing in a lawsuit against the Trump administration brought by protesters. Checking for a pulse and administering CPR is standard practice. This is a quote direct from the pediatrician. Instead of doing either of those things, the ICE agents appeared to be counting his bullet wounds. This is a licensed pediatrician who lives in Minneapolis who watched the whole thing go down with, sadly, now deceased Alex. The pediatrician reported witnessing the shooting from the window of their apartment and described seeing federal agents shove a man who appeared to be unarmed to the ground and point their guns at him before shots were fired. Here's another quote. Initially, I was stunned. From what I could see from my apartment, there was absolutely no need for any violence, let alone lethal force by multiple officers. And then the Department of Homeland Security, violently resisted and all the lies and stuff. But the pediatrician added, I do not feel safe in my city anymore. In less than 1 month, ICE agents have shot and killed 2 people for protesting and observing their actions. I worry that I or somebody I love will be shot and killed for voicing their displeasure and being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Only criminals protest the government.
Yeah.
Let's tag on a couple of other things about that. The fact that ICE agents were going around confiscating people's phones.
Yeah.
To make sure there was no evidence. Now, thankfully, a lot of evidence had already got out. I saw a new angle today, which is from actually inside that white car that the officers were, oppressing Alex and the woman. There was footage from inside that car as well. Didn't really show anything new, but thankfully, a lot of footage has already got out. But the fact that they went in there, just taking people's phones to hide evidence.
Oh, yeah.
At this point, there's a good thing to mention. You can use the video recorder in your phone and hope that it has time to sync that video to the cloud. But if you go and look on the app stores, you can find video apps that instantly are saving to the cloud. That way, if these pieces of trash get your phone, that footage is saved and ready to use.
Yeah, it's like you literally need to be live streaming to somewhere.
Yeah. I would also suggest to quite a few people out there, you can get little Polaroid flip side. You remember it's like little camcorders from like 25 years ago, you can still buy those and they'll do 4K. They're really good, the whole 9 yards. And some of them have Wi-Fi. So you can be recording to, your phone in your pocket or to the cloud and whatnot. They're only a couple $100. If you have the means, look into it. Right? Because the saving to the cloud is the important thing. If you're one of those people that jump into the front and really get the footage, if you think they're going to grab your phone, then make sure that you do what you need to make sure that they can't get the footage, right? Maybe use a cheap burner phone. We don't need the footage to be from the top of the line, Apple Pro 15 or whatever. Some $200 used phone would be just as good, Absolutely.
You probably have to handcuff your phone to your wrist.
Yeah. Nicholas.
It's delightful to... Wait, you said I was going to be on the Midas Touch. What the hell is this?
We're waiting for Brian Tyler Cohen to turn up, but he's too busy writing a book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can wait. I'd be happy to chat until some professionals show up.
Yeah. Let's do that then. We are knee deep in a lot of stuff that I thought you're touching on some philosophy and stuff here, and I was okay, get your punk ass in here, Nick. Come on.
Yeah, I got you said. Well, and I know commanders. So I did game design, and development. And I'd actually love to talk to Commander about it. He and I had a show where we discussed it, but we didn't discuss the specifics of what. But I did that for 3 years. And it's like every time I think there's a topic on which I can like kind of school Commander and be like, oh, okay, here, let me tell you how it really is. It's just like he knows 10 times more about it than I do. So I thought it was game design. I was like, well, no, this is how games work. I was like, fucking son of a. So then you contact. I know you've got him on. You contact me and you're like, you know, we could really use some of your expertise. I was just like, I'd really like to find the topic that I know more about than Lance. I'm sure there's a couple, but it's been really hard to find them.
Well, actually, I was just trapping you because I needed somebody else to look stupid around him besides me. So,
okay, well.
So, but with that, Nick, we're going into America, the murders, and the whole 9 yards. And as an educated American, when you look at, let's say, first, the Democratic response, maybe we're finally getting something with we're not going to fund anymore and stuff. We've got the citizen response and whatnot. Like, just give us a bit of where is Nick Suter right now, living in America, watching his country fail?
Wow. Thanks for asking loaded questions. It is so.
Well, we're not blaming you.
Before I answer, no, watching his country fail. So, Dick, have you stopped beating your wife out of curiosity?
Why do you think I'm divorced?
It's a loaded question. Yeah, you became sane, and you're like, whoa, I'm okay. Divorce papers, signing those. So, two things. I do not have a degree in political science, which I was never interested in the slightest. And now it's hilarious because I do have a degree in philosophy, which basically means I'm qualified to say, would you like fries with that? And I enjoy the philosophy. I enjoy abstract thought, and I'm very good at it, but it's also quite useless most of the time. So now I'm like, I wish I had gotten a political science because it turns out that's what I'm really interested in and do most of. I have a friend, Ethan, who blows me away all the time. He's been a co-host before, so he's not around. He'd give you a better answer than me. As for me personally, which thankfully you asked for, so I can just give my opinion as uneducated as it is when it comes to political science. It's the philosophy. It's Plato. I have to enunciate and use big words.
We haven't got all fucking night.
Okay. So I think we're in very serious trouble. I think I remember when Lance first told me that we were looking at a cold civil war with a very good likely of it turning hot within a certain period of time, and having kind of this denial about it, saying, well, I hope he's wrong. There's nothing I can do about it right now, which is unfortunately, when you ask why so many Germans it's that exact same kind of thinking. So for me, the shooting yesterday really brought it into stark relief as to how bad it is. The man was shot in the back. Each of those shots was in the back. One was while he was
being held down by four agents.
And that in and of itself was bad enough. But to have Kristi Noem come out, and CNN has been pushing back hard, which is nice. It's unexpected, and I don't expect it to last. But they were asking a member of the administration, and they're like, well, wait a minute. So, was he waving a gun or wasn't he? And he's like, well, we're professionals, which means we wait until the investigation's done before we say anything. Like, well, wait a minute. This is what Kristi Noem said, that he was waving a gun, that was she right or was she wrong? And I was like, well, no, we wait until, okay, why didn't she wait?
Yeah. Well, nobody waited.
Yeah.
Greg Bovino didn't wait.
And what it struck me was that it's literally everything that I've read about in the history of Nazi Germany. It's everything that Lance has been warning us about for quite some time. The administration already has canned responses basically for whatever happens.
Absolutely.
And they don't care what happened. They don't care in the slightest. They're just going to lie, put out their narrative, and try to beat everybody else to the story because you're most likely to believe what you hear first. And so I'm like, so we've got two situations. One, governments are always at least somewhat unreliable, but the U.S. government's actually been reasonably reliable. The UK government, the Canadian government, we've had assholes in office before.
Yeah,
We've had George W. Bush, but we're still Western countries.
Mhm.
And that really no longer applies to the U.S. Nothing that the government says can possibly be trusted, no matter how high up or how low. When they say whatever they say they're doing, there's no way you can't trust any of it. So it's like, so that's a brand new position. We know that they're lying. We know that they don't care, and we know that they feel confident and likely with cause that they can assassinate anybody they want to at just about any time.
Yeah.
So that was the conclusion I reached yesterday. It put that in stark relief, both of those combined, that Kristi Noem could stand up there and just say this shit and doesn't care.
Can I just jump in a second? There's
Please.
a great quote from Truth Nerds in the chat. It says, "A lie travels halfway around the world while the truth is still putting its shoes on."
Oh, good one.
Usually attributed to Mark Twain, that one, but
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
The thing that
That's it.
I find interesting is there were incidents of this nature where I shot people before Good and before this recent one, but they were people of color.
Yeah.
And it was largely ignored, not carried. Now we have white people getting shot and people are making a big fuss.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, how big a step is it to go from shooting white people to assassinating prominent Democrats?
Exactly.
You want,
Yeah.
you want to shut down the opposition. That's how you start.
Yeah. Right. And you've still got MAGA trolls in the chats and comment sections in social media watching these videos, and their response to people is, well, they should have followed orders. Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. I can tell by the way you're commenting that you wouldn't have fucking followed orders if it was a Democrat giving them.
Yeah.
You see so many of the comments on social media of this kind of shit where they're talking about, they're looking at the footage, they're going, yeah, look, there he is, he's got his gun in his hand. That's his phone, you moron.
I know.
And it's repeated thousands and thousands of times.
We have several shots of one of the ICE agents taking and holding his gun.
Yeah.
Before the shooting starts.
Exactly.
Pulling it from its holster, meaning he never had it out.
That's right. That's right. And
The agent-
very licensed to conceal.
Yep.
I don't hear any of those gun-toting, gun rights
The NRA
people.
isn't going to.
Right.
Oh,
I don't hear
actually,
anybody.
The NRA has come out and issued a statement saying that they are deeply concerned that there's been a rush to judgment about an American who was legally carrying a weapon who is now dead. So the NRA, I failed to mention this on because I was just sitting there going, the fact that the NRA and I are on the same goddamn side on this really scares me. But the other thing that we've got lots of clips of, and I think are worth finding, we aired a bunch on our show, is clips of this administration, including Kash Patel, including the head of ICE, the head director of ICE, as saying, look, yes, you've got a right to have a weapon, but you shouldn't carry it to a protest. You don't really have that right. And so we're like, you know what? We agree. So here's January 6th.
January 6th,
and
exactly.
Yeah, and we have 30 pictures of January 6th, and it was like, where was Kash Patel then?
Yeah, and there was that other guy. Was it named Pettit? To one of the demonstrations, he had his AR-16, AR-15.
They were all doing that whole pose with their hands on the rifles or the guns.
It's
right?
only wrong when your side does it.
Exactly.
When we do it, it's patriotic.
And it's been declared. I mean, Trump declared it. What is it? National Freedom Day, and it's like, and they've all been pardoned for officers that were killed for breaking into, and nobody's mentioned yet. They all had very heavy firearms. This guy, which just for the shits and giggles, will say they were all licensed to carry them on congressional grounds, which I suspect is highly illegal. But let's give it to him. This guy had a concealed weapon that he never went for, that he has a license for, and from everything we can tell, ICE put their hands on him first. So he was assaulted by ICE first, and then he got tear gassed twice. They put him in the fetal position, shot him while he was in a fetal position on the ground, and then as he got up to his knees, emptied the mag into his back. That's what happened. End of discussion.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't have brought a gun to a protest. What?
Yeah.
That
well,
means
they shouldn't have been attacking protesters.
Well, does that mean we?
It's so many things.
They did, and then it sounds like you guys were already discussing this, but they attacked all the protesters afterwards and stole their phones.
Yes,
we have some footage of that, and it's just like they're taking the phones out of the.
I can speak to this on a local level. We had a BLM protest in the town near me, and it was organized by high school students. So most of them are young people that are out there protesting, and they're old people and their families and everything with them. On the opposite street corner, a bunch of, patriotic Americans show up with their AR-15s and combat gear, and they're pointing their weapons at these kids on the street.
Fuck.
And at no point did the local police do anything to them, but they did drive up and down the side where the protest was, which was very quiet, very peaceful, and were yelling at people, "Get your foot off this road. You can only be on the sidewalk."
Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the problems, is that so much of law enforcement is recruited from the same gene pool, if you will,
Yeah.
as these ICE guys.
Yeah.
And
law enforcement has been
we've
recruiting
allowed
tough
it to
guys.
happen.
Yeah.
I assume you mean white nationalists.
Well,
Yes.
there's been this history of you get these football tough guy bullies from school who never go to college or anything because they're too freaking stupid. So they end up being cops. It's been happening for years.
That's been happening for years. But to interject myself where nobody asked, I think Commander was making a broader point, which is that specifically in the U.S., there has been a concerted effort to get as many white nationalists as possible into the U.S. military. And it's been astonishingly successful, to the point where if you're not a white nationalist, you're probably going to have a harder time than if you are a white nationalist. Is that an accurate representation, Commander, of what you were saying?
No, not really.
But
we know that certain federal agencies have been infiltrated by what they call clean-skinned white supremacists. These are guys who lack the SS rune tattoos and the Adolf Hitler, Sieg Heil tattoo and all that stuff. Clean-skinned because they aren't tattooed. ICE was one of these organizations that was identified quite some time ago. I won't say the name, but the guy that we both know who was in law enforcement, Nick, that you've had on the show a couple of times.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so it's something that was identified long ago, and nothing was done about it. Even by Democratic administrations, no effort to purge these agencies, which had been identified as being compromised, to purge them of that group. Now, you can ask yourself why. I don't know if it's necessarily a nefarious plot, by Congress, but I do think a lot of it is because nobody had the intestinal fortitude to say, hey, we need to do this. And in order to get the right number of officers who are qualified, we need to raise the pay so that it's a decent wage. And, that would require us raising taxes. We can't have that.
right.
And that's from both sides of the aisle saying we can't raise taxes for something like that. So we basically, without consciously doing so, I think, opened the door to where we are today. And we need Congress to grow a set and say, okay, things need to be done to correct this problem before it gets further out of hand.
Yeah.
And so, okay, yeah, well, you hit the nail on the head there. Okay, what are the solutions now? Where do we go from here? Or say we, I mean, the United States.
Yeah, well,
It's all of us,
because it does affect everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And the U.S. needs the support. I've got to tell you, one of the things, Dunk, you and I were talking. In fact, you were on our show, and I had said something along the lines of "Every country hates America now," and you took the time to interrupt me and say that is not true. We hate the regime. We're aware that it's not every American.
Yeah.
And so that's a level of support that, quite honestly, when people like myself feel like we're alone and nobody sees what's going on in my country and sees my world falling apart, that really helps.
I'll tell you, same thing with Canada. Every single Canadian I know says I don't hate Americans. I just hate the regime. Right?
Well, I brought this up with Dick on another show recently. That there was a Reddit thread with Denmark, and you had all these Americans saying, "We're so sorry, we are not for this," and basically they said, "Look, just stop sending apologies. We don't fucking care.
Yeah.
You are complicit in allowing this to happen. You allowed America to get to this state, so you don't want any fucking apologies from you.
Yeah.
Sort your fucking country out." And I thought, yeah, that's fair. That's pretty fair, actually.
Dunk, sort your country out, America is becoming something I'm seeing more and more in comment threads on videos and stuff about all of this.
We should put on a fucking t-shirt.
I think it's becoming a thing that Europeans and others and stuff are catching on to as a catchphrase right now. I do.
I think one problem is, and I think the previous question does need to get answered, but the EU has also realized something, which is coddling Trump's ego, pandering to Trump's ego, doing all of that stuff works only so far, and they have now exceeded the point at which it has any value. So they're like, we're not going to continue to do diplomacy in the traditional way. We're not doing diplomacy in the Trump way. They're going to start, actually, I read an article on how they're going to start, how the EU is assembling a strategy for dealing with us. And they're basically planning on doing it the same way they deal with Russia, which is to set very strict, this is a red line. If you cross it, these are the consequences, period, end of discussion. Right. And I'm, the no nuance, no moving around. I'm just like, wow, they're treating us like they treat Putin.
How the hell can that be our reality? Sorry, Commander.
I was going to say, I think that in a lot of ways, the Greenland situation is our modern day equivalent of the 1938 Czech crisis. And Europe has come to the conclusion that appeasement won't work anymore. And I think that's it's about time they came to that conclusion. I mean,
we're going to get Neville Chamberlain on our next guest, so we'll see how that
goes. I don't think there are any Neville Chamberlains per se right now that you can identify in Europe. I think most of the people who are in charge have figured out what the hell's going on and are beginning to take measures to deal with it.
It's very unsaid in public still, but it's definitely happening, right?
Yeah, I think they've been quiet about it, but it's all been talked in the corridors probably.
In her opening address, in her opening remarks to
Chancellor
the financial, she said the days of appeasement are over.
Yeah,
and she specifically mentioned the U.S. and I'm sitting there going, to Americans, most of them, that's just going to go right over their head. Yeah, every European knows exactly. Yeah. Every European knows exactly what that means.
Yeah,
every single one. Yeah. I'm sitting there going like, oh shit. I was just like, I know where they stand now.
Yeah.
And good. Yeah. Because it has to be stopped one way or another. I don't. Yeah. And it's just, I hate the idea that it's our own allies that have to friggin' stop us, and they've got
yeah.
people on the inside who are doing. But this is, we've seen where this goes. I don't like being a member of a species that permits this thing to happen once, let alone more than once. Once was bad enough. Let's find a way to if it means bankrupting the U.S., that's what it means. If it means the U.S. doesn't get to work with anyone, I don't want to live like that. But that's, if it's that, or we're going to torture and murder people, the answer is reasonably simple.
Yeah, I think part of the issue is that this is the first time we've had to confront somebody who doesn't care about the protests.
Oh.
I mean, if you think about it, what forced Nixon out of office? What got W to rein in the worst of his excesses, etc.? Right. You know, it was people protesting. In this case, we've had huge numbers of people protesting, and the regime is doing nothing. By the way, have you noticed how quickly we shifted from the government or the administration to the regime?
Yeah.
Regime, yeah.
Many people are talking in those terms.
Yeah.
So anyway, I want to bring us back to potential solutions, but Dick's got some shout outs to do.
Yeah. Let me jump in quick here and hit the applause button, because first off, Paul Gilbert started us off with, my degree in modern European studies set me free. You know, that's the kind of background that I can only wish Herr Dumpf had, because maybe there'd be a lesson in there. Thanks, Paul Gilbert. Very cool indeed. Long-time watcher around here. Paul Gilbert comes in with a second one then. He says, time for normal people in the USA to choose the path they want. Things will get worse until the majority make it better. So it's time to choose your future and make the world we all want. Exactly.
100%.
That was well typed out and well said, and definitely well worth the super chat. Thank you, Paul Gilbert. And then Liam Wakefield comes in with a shout out here. The U.S. sneezes and the UK catches a cold. And our latest, is
lurgy.
Yeah, is Farage. This Farage guy, he really, really wants to beat Trump, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'm going to kick him in the bollocks as well, yeah.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy that you want to kick in the sack until there's no sack left and give him one more just so he can taste what used to hang between his freaking legs, right?
Yeah. Oh, that was vivid. Thank you for that. I need to, excuse me, I'm going to go for a few minutes. Oh, wow.
So, Dick, we're approaching the 1 hour point. Did you want to shift over to the other side?
No, let's keep going.
Yeah, we're going to give it an extra little bit today. We got the numbers, but also it'll be a good test to see if it's numbers driven or the hour based driven. So it's an experiment as well. Yeah.
I think we just can't leave this, and just like shift over. We just.
I've got time too, so I can stay for at least another half hour.
So awesome. I'm gonna throw in a kind of a weird concept here, and you guys are gonna educate me. Now, what we are looking at the minute is the President of the United States.
That's interesting phrase. Yes,
that's important. Is raging war on blue states. Now, what about the concept of these blue states seceding from the United States, or is that potentially an act of civil war?
It is, because there is no provision in our Constitution for a state to leave the Union. So the moment you proceed down that road, you've moved into civil war territory.
That seems to be a bit of a mistake.
There's nothing there's nothing that prohibits it either, though. And my understanding is it was a Supreme Court decision over Texas where the Supreme Court decided if you can actually leave, there's no point in having a constitution and all of these other things. So we're going to interpret the lack of there being any provisions to be but that's actually Supreme Court. It's technically not prohibited. There's nothing that says you can't leave the Union.
Interesting you brought up the Constitution, because at this moment in time, does the Constitution actually mean anything? Is it worth the paper it's printed on?
That's well, and I had a question for Lance, and now I spaced it. Okay, so your question is okay. Your question is about civil war, which I was asked about earlier, and it's basically we are in a civil war whenever one state is either firing at another state, not at the citizens, but at the representative military, which I guess would be the National Guard, or at the federal government, or no longer recognizes the authority of the federal government. Trump is trying to get the blue states to not recognize the authority of the federal government in any number of ways. He said on February 1st, he's going to cut off all funding from the federal government to the states. Now, for the average state, that's about 30% of their income. So 30% of their state budget comes from the federal government. That's going to be tough for states to absorb. One way to absorb it is to just say, okay, guys, you don't have to pay federal income tax anymore. We're just going to raise our taxes to equal what we were giving the feds. And there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, they're now in rebellion. They are no longer recognizing the right of the federal government to take taxes from the other. So he's looking to get even one state to say, hey, if you're not paying us money back, we're not paying you, because the federal government's supposed to distribute that money, and it doesn't distribute it equally. It distributes it by need, but every state gets a significant amount of money from the federal government. So he's looking for either that or for state forces, especially say the state, the National Guard, to begin firing on ICE agents or something like that. That would also be considered basically an act of rebellion. At that point, and I put this on my Discord. I was curious if Commander agreed or not, because he would know far more. But I think once that happens with a single state, every single state now has a very serious problem, because if they do nothing, they'll still presumably pay their taxes, which pays for the military that will be attacking another state in the union. So if they do nothing, they are supporting the federal government. If they decide to help defend, then they're supporting the rebels or whatever you want to call them. But nobody's going to want to do that. But every blue state's going to realize they're next if they don't. So either they start right now and all work together. So what I think we're facing, and again, Commander's the expert, what I think we're facing is he's trying to just get one state to say we're going to stop paying federal taxes because they're not paying us. One state where somebody...
Or anything along those lines.
Please. Yeah.
Because the real issue is that the president and his administration, by extension, are the ones who determine, in a lot of ways, what constitutes that act of insurrection. So you can overlook it in some cases and, get really hypersensitive about the tiniest, smallest infraction and decide that is sedition.
Wow.
Yeah.
Leaving that power at the president instead of Congress or reps, that seems dangerous.
It wouldn't be dangerous if Congress had not ceded their authority of the military over to the president.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
So that was actually already accounted for in the balance of power, so he could make that determination.
The AMUF that was voted into action post 9/11 was so vague, and had no time limit on it, that effectively all the president needs to do is declare something a terrorist, and he can send forces in and keep them there as long as he wants.
That's
and by the way, look, I have to make this point, and I haven't made this point yet, but I've been thinking about it for a while, and it's been scaring the shit out of me. And it's something that I heard many, many years ago first, and we were warned about. But here's the thing. The whole point of terrorism is to get a larger country to implode, to defeat itself and to defeat its own ideals. If you realize that everything that we've gotten to from here started from our overreaction to 9/11 and to everything that we handed over in the name of security, it looks to me like right now there's a very real chance Osama bin Laden, who has been dead for 10 years, could win.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
How can that be?
Yeah. And that's how terrorism works. That's the only way for an organization bin Laden's size to defeat a country our size. But at this point, the battle is still being fought and we are losing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at the situation in Ireland, the overreaction to the 1916 Easter Rebellion. That's what got most Irishmen off the fence and siding with the independence movement. Because up to that point, most of them had been ambivalent at best, and in many cases, very much pro-Britain. And I'm not saying Osama knew what he was doing, but the fallout of what happened did just that. We overreacted, and we are seeing the fallout of that overreaction occurring on the streets of Minneapolis today.
Yeah, it took longer than maybe he wanted, but it's starting to happen now. That's for sure.
Yep.
If he was truly a religious zealot, there is no such thing as longer than he wanted. I don't know if he was or wasn't. I know many of the people who followed him were, because you don't fly an airplane into a building unless you believe there's an afterlife and you're going to go to heaven for it. So he's certainly, and there are people who take advantage of that and rise. So I don't know if he may have been completely secular, but he was just like, oh, well, yeah, Allah, that way you guys will, so who knows? But if he was truly a religious zealot, then it doesn't matter so long as he wins. And the object of terrorism is to get a country to implode either by, and it's not what we did with the Soviet Union. We did something very different with the Soviet Union. But in one sense, we did try to scare the Soviet Union into getting into an industrial competition with us over who could make the most nuclear weapons the fastest. And the reason was because we knew that as long as they were fighting that industrial war, at some point they would collapse. They could.
And this was coming out of World War II, when the American industrial might proved to be almighty. So it was a guaranteed bet, right?
Yeah. Well, and we slowed down our production because we didn't want to get too far ahead of it, because we wanted them to feel like it was a race, so that because as a capitalist country, we wanted to fight a war as capitalists, and we wanted it on production grounds that we knew we had a significant edge. Osama wanted fear, and he knew he could. He knew as long as he was willing to kill huge amounts of innocent people, and fear will get people to do really stupid things.
Wow! Have we ever seen it?
Now, listen, you chatty bastards. You've gone completely off the rails. I started off asking about solutions. I started talking about solutions, and I came up with the idea of secession. That's not going to work. We want solutions. What? Come on, give us.
Oh, no! I'm going to scare your audience more. Let's see. So,
give us solutions out of this mess, the regime.
Commander,
come on, Commander. What are you going to do?
Well, as I've said a couple times, I think the way you start, because it's more palatable to put it this way, is you disarm ICE.
Mm-hmm.
So if they do feel the need to have armed security with them, they must draw it from local constabulary.
Oh, you changed the game right there.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen, because the people in charge aren't going to do that.
It may, but let Commander finish, because they can.
It can.
I was going to say it can, because we're at that weird juncture right now where we can effectively shut down the government, and the money for keeping ICE operations going falls apart.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the government shutdown that's approaching?
Yeah, and it's down. We're starting to get some vocal people saying they will not vote for anything that funds ICE now.
They split the funding bill into three separate bills. There's a reason they split it into three separate bills. It was so that if they had an argument over one of them, they could still at least partially fund the government going forward.
Right.
Chuck Schumer, who is the ranking member in the Senate, had previously said they were okay with all the funding. It passed the House. It looked like it was going to pass the Senate. For the last 2 weeks, we've had no concerns over the government shutdown. It's not going to happen. They're good. Chuck Schumer came out yesterday and said he will not pass any funding for the entire Department of Homeland Security. It's done. That package is dead. It will not leave the Senate. Yeah. So now's where they begin the negotiations, and we'll see how those negotiations turn out. Maybe it's going to be, they disarm. Maybe it's going to be you remove them entirely. So long as the Senate, and thank God it's the Senate, because the Senate usually has more balls than the House by a significant margin. Hopefully they stick to it and they find a way to really, because ICE, the number of problems, I mean, ICE essentially has to be disbanded at this point. None of them have been vetted. Most of them probably have criminal records. Half of them were January 6th.
At least half. Nick, is there any word on the ground, any vibe, any sort of sniff of truth to any Republicans saying, yes, I'm not funding this either?
We haven't heard any. I haven't. Maybe Commander has. I
haven't.
Think that I have on the House side. On the House side, I've heard. On the House, a number have said so. The senators tend to keep things a lot closer to
the chest. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, but they tend to be more serious too. I mean, it's hard to imagine a Marjorie Taylor Greene in the Senate.
Yeah.
It's a different body. So, and keep in mind, the Senate was where they were with 100% discharge, got the discharge petition passed for the Epstein files.
Never forget those files, people. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm cautiously optimistic, and Thune I don't like, but he's not stupid. He's probably got a pretty good idea of what's going on, and he wants to see a solution to it as well. And he's not so ambitious. I don't think he wants to become president. So unless I'm missing something.
Somebody dropped the name Wagner in the chat. Anybody know?
Wagner?
Yeah. Is that somebody, up in the big show?
That's nobody I can think of.
Yeah, me either.
Maybe he's referring to Wagner, the composer, and his Dr. Dameron opera.
Dun, 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 dun.
I got that up and ready there, Nick.
Thank you. So I don't know, Commander, did you have any other thoughts? Because I wanted to quickly read one thing, but I want to make sure that you've got.
No, I did want to move on to a related story.
But that might be for part 2, which we will get to eventually.
one of these years.
Yeah.
Let me briefly. So there, a lot of people are feeling hopeless and like there is no solution. The solution that I just provided would only be a temporary one. We've still got Trump in office. So it's a battle that's going to continue for a while. Unfortunately, we're going to have losses. We're going to have wins. Right now, there's some cautious optimism, at least in dealing with ICE. It doesn't solve half our other problems. But what I like is when leaders who are respected, who are in some cases beloved, and even just regular, they see it too. This is a statement by President Obama and Miss Obama. They gave it out. It's titled January 5th, so it's from yesterday. The killing of Alex Patetti is a heartbreaking tragedy. It should also be a wake-up call to every American. He doesn't use those words lightly. Regardless of party, that many of our core values as a nation are increasingly under assault. Okay, he is being diplomatic, but this is exactly what needs to be said. He's right. the entire Constitution is under assault. Federal law enforcement and immigration agents have a tough job, but Americans expect them to carry out their duties in a lawful, accountable way and work with, rather than against, state and local officials to ensure he's got it. He sees it. He knows exactly what's going on.
You're damn right.
That's not what we're seeing in Minnesota. In fact, we are seeing the opposite. For weeks now, people across the country have been rightly outraged by the spectacle of masked ICE recruits. He doesn't even call them agents, they're recruits. So he understands that problem too. And other federal agents acting with impunity and engaging in tactics that seem designed to intimidate, harass, provoke, and endanger the residents of a major American city. These unprecedented tactics, again, he's being diplomatic. Yeah. He's like, this is unprecedented. Yeah. Which even the former top lawyer of the Department of Homeland Security in the first Trump administration has characterized as embarrassing, lawless, and cruel, have now resulted in the fatal shootings of 2 U.S. citizens. And yet, rather than trying to impose some semblance of discipline and accountability over the agents they've deployed, the president and current administration officials seem eager to escalate the situation. This is everything that Lance was talking about. This is what Lance was saying. They want this fight. And here is a former president sees the exact same thing. Yeah. And he's telling people, this is what I see. I see people who are eager to make this even worse. Yeah. So when we think we're alone, when we think that there's nobody else who sees what we're seeing, this is a joint statement from President Obama. It was up there. I'm not going to read the rest. You can read it. You can go back because I know we're on time. But I offer that as hope to people who are worried. It's not an answer, except that we are not alone in the dark.
And remember,
interestingly enough, Obama was joking the other day about running for a third term, which obviously he can't. But could he run as vice president?
And then
have it handed to him. I said the other day, Nick, I would love to see Michelle throw her hat in the ring.
I would too, actually,
I know because of this and that and the other thing, but, wow.
No, she's too smart to. She's actually too smart to. She already knew beforehand she would never get into politics because it takes too much out of you. She wanted to live for other things. She didn't want to end up all gray haired like her husband.
I say John Stewart for president, Obama as vice.
Oh, dear Lord.
I like that.
I like that. Yeah.
I'd like that. Monsieur Trump, what size rope would you like?
Do you like natural fibers or artificial fibers?
Yeah, baby.
we'll just throw him at a windmill on a trebuchet.
No, just tie him to a windmill, but the edge of the blade, so he really gets to feel it, right? Oh man,
string them all up.
It's now. Normally we do this show in 2 1-hour batches because YouTube algorithm, it kind of likes shorter shows these days. But this one ran long because, well, Trump's running long in the two. It's just kind of, that's how it's going to be. So
I appreciate it. What you really mean is because I showed up and I can't shut my mouth. But thank you for being diplomatic.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. And I hope you can stick around for a bit for part 2. But what do you guys think? Should we wrap this one into the can and send it to part 2? Or does anybody have anything more immediately on this to get to? Because I know it's almost an endless conversation. Right?
Commander is foaming at the mouth to get to his story he wants to do, so we should go to part 2.
Let's go do that.
But also, just throw this out there. How about Canada buys California? For $1. An American dollar, not a Canadian dollar. But
I will pay California. I will pay Canada to take my state.
Yeah,
I recognize that we're Americans, so we're actually a burden at this point. I don't care how, but we'll send the federal money to you guys.
Nick,
Yeah, but
Nick, can I say we will
is that a secession?
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh.
As a
I don't-
Canadian,
this-
we'll
no.
take that money. So you know.
Hey, the western part of Washington would probably eagerly volunteer to join British Columbia.
Oh yeah. Meanwhile, we got some assholes in Alberta who think they'd be better off being Americans. You sorry ass sacks of fucking right leaning shit. Pull it out of your eyes. Are you kidding me right now?
See a swap made in heaven.
Yeah.
Can't you just use Trump's technique and just move? You get a Sharpie and just like move the borders.
Oh, dear Lord. So please, fellow babies, look, we're going to flip this to part 2. So there is a link in the description that you can hit. There is a link pinned in the live chat, and there's a redirect set as well. We're going to touch on this some more. Commander McMillan's got a story he's going to take us through, and I've got a couple of blurbs as well. And this is still current events and news that you need to know, even though Trump just demands all of the news coverage, right? Yeah. So
Big, huge, bigger than Arnold Palmer.
now, everybody, Trump really, really wants the awards. So don't you think we've got one we could give him before we send part 1 into the bin?
I know the award you want to give him. I know exactly where I want to put it.
Herr Trump, take your golden cock. So join us for part 2, everybody. Nick's joined in, Duncan, Commander, and of course myself will be there as well. Be there, be square, and remember, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy.
Stay shitty, you bastards.
Part 2 coming up. Arr.